Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today it's going to be a little bit of a longer form video. Let me make sure everything's in focus and view. My idea was to have this be a little bit more formal presentation, but in true Dork Dad fashion, we're going to do it live. All right, so Marvel send-off. What in the world am I talking about? Let's go back in time. So I wanted to say that we're in a weird spot right now with current/future Marvel. So let's talk about Marvel over the years. So it started off modestly. We had our, Iron Man, our Incredible Hulk, if you even want to consider that, different actors, and I have a bone to pick with that character. But we had hints of a CU, an EU cinematic universe, tied in with all the Avengers. The phases worked out well. All the phases. Some were, honestly, if people ask my opinion, some of these you can skip. Some were just filler. First Ant-Man was great. Second one, I mean, they're funny, but you don't need them. Some were just flat out boring. Looking at you, Thor, Dark World. But we made it all the way over here to Endgame. I forget about Spider-Man, but that's another story. But now we have stumbled through to a Black Widow movie. Oh, here's my Endgame. Now we're at Black Widow. Recent events have made it to where her movie was unfortunately continually pushed back. I have seen some critics, heard some reviews, and the general consensus is that it's just okay. You will have people that will just say it's amazing, but any Marvel movie, any big movie company will look good, it'll sound good, it'll have action in there, but I don't know. It's just a kind of a slow finish for this character that's been with us since what is that, phase 1, because Iron Man 2 was in phase 1 and she was in the Avengers. But any critics that will hold this movie to a decent standard will just say it was okay. I don't know too many details because I don't want to completely spoil it for myself. I have not seen it, and that's part of this video. And like I said, it's a sad send off for this character. So what about this character? So Natasha Romanoff. We saw her introduced in Iron Man 2, bits and pieces. Part of her character and the way she was presented is that there's this mystery surrounding her. She was like gonna be Tony's secretary or whatever. Turned out to be a spy. Pretty cool. And then we saw her in Winter Soldier. So this is when she started to kind of drop what worked for her before to develop more of a real friendship with Steve and eventually the rest of the Avengers. Then we saw her in Age of Ultron. She is, I feel like this is cool. She was like the only character that can calm the Hulk down. There was this love interest there, but they didn't take it anywhere. It was like the two people that were unable to love, and they kind of had that bond. I have a script here, and I'm losing my placing. But in Endgame, by the time we got to Endgame, because Hulk left the planet, after Ultron. We get to Endgame, and he's Professor Hulk, and they drop that, which is really sad to see. And then we inevitably get to her sacrifice in Endgame, which, regardless of whether or not you think it was necessary, it was sad. Wow, giant picture of her. And that was the end for her. And it was kind of all the original Avengers are kind of parting ways. Steve went back to the past. Tony Stark died. Hulk, who knows what he's going to do. Thor is giving up his crown for Asgard. But the problem with this death in Endgame is that we now jump to this solo movie, knowing the end result. And her solo movie takes place prior to, I forget what it even was. I don't know if it was prior to who knows, Civil War, Endgame. This is how little I know. What's next? Poor little Black Widow is standing around waiting for her solo movie. You could argue that Hawkeye didn't have one either. Sorry, buddy, but why not tie him in to her movie to show why they're such good friends? Instead, what did we get in reality? What would have worked before Endgame? I'll tell you what would have worked. A Black Widow movie. But instead, we got a Captain Marvel movie. Regardless of what you think about Brie Larson or Captain Marvel, the character, or how OP she is, overpowered, for anyone that doesn't know. How good would it have been to have Black Widow with her solo movie before Endgame, before knowing that she was going to sacrifice herself? That only would have made sense, and it would make her death in Endgame that much more impactful. So, it is what it is. Now here we are, getting this movie, 2 years late? But on top of that, what do we have from Marvel now? We have the TV shows, which WandaVision was fine. There's not, aside from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there's not a whole lot of superheroing going on. Yes, what's her name? Wanda, Scarlet Witch, is dealing with trauma, and then eventually another witch came along to be the bad guy. But let's not forget, she basically captured an entire city. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is I feel like they spent not a whole lot of time, but the little time was too much time sympathizing with the bad girl, bad character. And then Loki, he's a god of mischief. His arc ended, as I've said before. He had a little redemption by sacrificing himself at the very end, and now we're trying to rush and make him a sympathetic character. I don't really know what's going to happen with this. This is kind of like crawling along. And the movies are not that interesting. We have the Black Widow. The Eternals is coming up. Nobody knows about. Not a whole lot of hype involved. And honestly, the only thing with Marvel that I'm looking forward to is Shang-Chi. This character that I didn't know about until they announced. Trailers look good. Why am I excited? New character. And you can say, it's like a run-of-the-mill Marvel movie, but, so was Black Panther, Ant-Man, Captain Marvel. Like, let's pluck these characters out of the comics, make a movie, take a risk, put some new technology on there. People like it. I know Marvel is kind of like you have the goofiness, you have the XYZ happens. It reminds me of like the Lion King, like or not really, but reluctant son to take the throne. I don't know. It's something new, something different. New in a sense that we're not like going back with a Black Widow movie, a character that's been there this whole time, and trying to like cross the finish line and complete her story. We know how the story ends, and this is a backstory. As for Black Widow, personally, I'm not going to be spending $30 extra just to see it when I could just wait until it comes out on Disney Plus. That has never made sense to me ever since Disney started doing that. Do not tell me it's the same as watching a movie in a movie theater, because you're just talking about the money. There's a different experience when you go to I love going to the movies. I'm a new father now, so that's different. Recent events have made movie theaters either go away or not do as well. So there's that. But it's just not the same. And it's really sad to see the MCU Black Widow get the stay at home and watch this on your tiny screen experience. There's no sticky floors, there's no bumping elbows with other people, there's no popcorn smell, no overly priced hot dogs and candy. And that's unfortunately where her role in movies is going to end. So I will watch it eventually. Like I said, but this is just Marvel crossing the finish line in the most painful way. Like, I don't know if you're sports fans, but remember Brett Favre's last games when it's like, and Michael Jordan's last games with the Wizards. I'm like, man, get off the court, leave in dignity. And maybe it's too late for Black Widow. I don't know what's going to happen with Marvel. These actors can only go on for so long. They finished Logan well. Maybe a break in the MCU would help. But unfortunately, like with all corporate things, they're just trying to squeeze as much money out of this as they can. And it's painful to watch. Now, I am a normie, but in the sense that I didn't get into the comics. I did watch the cartoons, the X-Men, that's the only one I could think of, Spider-Man. I got into those. I got into reading enough to like get into a little bit of drawing. And I was someone that was old enough to appreciate watching the MCU become what it is today. And now you can just tell the fire is just not there as much. It's like they're running out of steam. So that's my rant. Hope you enjoy this video. Different format, layout. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.